All right, looks like we're getting a good amount of people in here. We'll give it a couple more minutes, see if we can allow some other people to go ahead and join. Also, feel free to share the link with any of your coworkers or other people that might be interested in watching this. With that being said, it'll also be shared later today to our help center, as well as our YouTube page for anyone who may have a scheduling conflict and wasn't able to miss it or wasn't able to make it to the webinar, or if you just need a little bit of a refresher afterwards on some of the topics we cover. It'll be there to view at any time. All right, we'll give it about a minute and we'll go ahead and get started. All right, let's go ahead and get started here. So welcome to Master the Basics, Part 2. We're going to be going over some really cool topics that I think you'll all enjoy and hopefully get some good information and some skills that maybe you didn't have before that you can take and really use within Lucidpress to really make your content that much better. So start by introducing me and Patrick. So I'm Sean Anderson. I am a customer operations specialist here at Lucidpress. If you've submitted any support tickets, you may or may not have come into contact with me with some of those questions that you may have had. And then Patrick, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Thanks, Sean. Hello, everybody. You've probably seen or heard me before if you've attended Mastering the Basics Part 1. Also, I'm a customer success manager with Lucidpress, so I may or may not be working with some of your team leaders or some of yourself. We're super excited for the training today. Just a quick reminder, throughout the presentation, if you have questions, go ahead and put those in the chat window. I'll try to answer them there, or if they're really good ones, I'll send them over to Sean to be answered out loud. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. All right, so feel free to log in and follow along with what we're going to be going over. You don't have to, it's not required, but you know, it always helps for information to sink in a little bit better if you're able to do it yourself. So just some reminders, I'm logging in. If you are having trouble logging in, forget your password or something like that, on the login screen, you can go down here to forgot password and you'll be prompted to another screen to reset your password. If you're using a single sign-on, you should be able to just kind of go to Lucidpress and it'll just automatically sign you into your account. Super quick and super easy. So yeah, if there are any questions about that, again, put them in the chat and we'll get those answered. All right, so today's agenda, we're going to go over using templates to create documents, editing these new documents that we've created, and then sharing them out to other people. Oops. All right, with that being said, let's dive right into it. So when you go to your Lucidpress, this will kind of be the home screen here. So it'll say your name or your email, depending on how you have your account set up. We've got this kind of search bar with different options on the left-hand side with My Documents, templates, the image manager. These other features, brand assets, data automation, and admin. These you may not have depending on what level of subscription you have. These are generally for our business subscriptions. So if you're on a pro or a free account, don't worry if these aren't there. They're not supposed to be for your subscription level. So we won't worry about those too much for this webinar. So right from here, you can kind of see some of my recent documents here. This is where they'll pop up. If you don't have any here, that's fine. It might just be that you don't have any documents saved. But once they get saved, your most recent ones will begin to appear over here. And then you can also use this button to view your documents up there. So let's dive into the template screen over here. So right away, you'll have likely some templates get populated here. They could be brand templates, standard templates, or some of the Lucidpress templates that we provide. If you go over to this little left-hand bar in the top left corner, you can click the drop down and you'll be able to see the brand templates, personal templates, maybe some other templates from another user were shared with you, and then also these Lucidpress templates. So you can go ahead and filter through these. And then, yeah, so here are some shared ones, and then some Lucidpress templates. You all should have access to these Lucidpress templates, unless you might be on some accounts where the admins may have restricted this, which is okay. You should have some brand templates that you can use to follow along with us with some of these examples. So this left-hand bar is really, really convenient for searching through the templates, especially if you have a large number of them, like with the Lucidpress templates, where we have several thousand templates available for our users. And you're able to sort these in a number of different ways. So ones that are ready for print, some mobile, even go down to the number of pages, which is really convenient if you're trying to make a document that you know needs 10 pages or 5 pages or whatever it might be for your goal with your project. And then also document size, so you don't have to worry about selecting a 10-page document, but it's not an 8.5 by 11, which is what you want it to be printed as, and you don't have to worry about creating the wrong document and then last minute realizing it's the wrong dimension size, and you kind of have to make all these other changes that can be frustrating. So having these document size filters are really convenient to getting you kind of on the right path to selecting the proper template that you want to work with. So we'll dive into an example using a template. So what you can do up here is search your templates. So I'm going to go ahead and just search, see if we have any summer templates, because we're kind of starting to get into that summer weather. I know it's been hot here in Utah. I think yesterday it got over 100 degrees, which is a little bit warm for me, even though I just moved here from Phoenix. Still not enjoying that 100-degree weather, even though it's a little colder, I guess, comparatively. Okay, so we'll just grab this template here. The way you can do this, there's a couple of different ways. We can go in and preview it, see if everything's okay that we want. So it'll say it's a 13 by 9. For us right now, it doesn't really matter too much the dimensions, but in your own use cases, it might matter a little bit more, making sure that template's the proper size. It's a 1 page. That's good. And then we can go over here and just hit new, and it will create a whole new document that's exclusive to my account. It'll give you the option to save it. So let's go webinar part 2. You can choose the location that you want to save it as. If you have specific folders for this to go into, you'll be able to select them here. I don't, so I don't really have anywhere to put this besides my documents, which it'll generally auto default to. So we'll go ahead and save it to just my documents. And then just one thing to be said on this is when you're making edits to this new document that we just created, those changes aren't going to be reflected in this Lucidpress template that we have here. So it is your own document. Maybe there are some restrictions depending on how the template's set up that maybe your admins or other people may have put in. In this case, on a Lucidpress template, there aren't any of those things, so we don't have to worry about that. But just want to make that emphasis that any of the changes you make here, they're not going to translate backwards. All right, so we'll go ahead and start making some changes here. So as you can see, this seems like maybe it's a bit of a romance novel or something like that. So let's try and make some changes to this. So first thing we'll start to go over is the image manager. It's a really important tool and that people get a lot of use out of when they're creating documents, because everyone likes to bring in their own images, kind of put them where they want them to be and things like that. So what you do is you can select this little icon down here, and then it'll have all the images in the past that you have uploaded Again, you can kind of break these down into folders and create some image folders that way. For me, I just have my images. I haven't gone to grouping the images, but if you've got certain topics that maybe you have a summer folder that you want to save all your summer images in, you can go ahead and do that and import these into there. So to import some new images, we can go up to manage. And then we've got a few options here. We go to upload, hit this little drop down. Has a few different upload options that we have. We can do folders, some SVG files, or individual pages from the PDF, which is kind of cool if you're trying to bring in a PDF into your Lucidpress document. For us, we're just going to go ahead and do upload, grab an image. So let's see what this one is. Cool. So now we've got this image here. And then as you can see, I've got this image highlighted. It's got that little blue tint. And what we can do from here is we can hit insert, or we can insert it as a new page. So what happens when we hit insert, it'll kind of just drop it right in the middle of the document. For us, that's not really great. I don't really want this image just kind of floating there. So I'm going to go ahead and remove that one and then go back into the image manager on the left-hand side. And so we're going to start changing some of these images that we have in the background. So the way you can really use images in Lucidpress to be quick and efficient, is just kind of drag and drop. And as you can see, as I'm moving it around, there's that little gray kind of tint that happens. So if I place it without that gray tint, it's not going to do what I want it to do. It's just going to place an image like that. So we really got to be careful. And make sure that we're doing exactly what we want it to do. Get that gray tint, drop it in, and it'll fill that space in the background, which is what we were looking for to change that. So if you're going a little bit too fast, you might not catch the little tint and it'll just place improperly. So when that happens, just delete the image and try again. So we'll go ahead and drop another image into this side. And so now we've changed the backgrounds to some images that we like, a little bit kind of brighter and happier images for, out there having fun in the summer. So we'll go ahead and make some other changes. So what we have here right now is kind of a blue background. Doesn't really fit with the images that we have here. So we can use this toolbar on the left hand or the right hand side to make some changes to this. So the fill color is what we're going to really be focusing on here. Trying to get it to a color that's a little bit better with the images that we have. So I'm gonna go with a green. Even then, that green's not great. So we can go in here and kind of get a little bit more specific with the kind of colors we want with this little circle that we can drag all over. And then if you guys can see here, there's the new color on top, and then it's comparing it to the old one below, which is really nice to see just a little bit of a difference there. And then if you have a color in particular that you want to import in, we do allow the RGB kind of number codes to put in here. If you have those and you want a specific color to get grabbed and placed in. So kind of a darker green, I think that'll look a little better. Yeah, it's a little bit better, kind of matches the grass a little bit closer. And then so we can go through and it looks like we've got some text box here. Couple of images. So to get through this text, it's a little bit fancier than maybe we would want for this book that we're working with. So we can go over here and change the fonts that way. Another way to change the fonts is, again, using this right-hand bar that we have over here. And it'll have a lot of the same options that you see up on this top bar. So we can, again, go in here, change the fonts. Maybe go like graphic bold. It's a good one. And then so we've got a lot of other text boxes in here, and we could do rinse and repeat the same steps we just did. Or there's another kind of quicker and easier option we can do is use this little paint format. What this will do is it'll grab all of the attributes of this text that I now have highlighted, and then it'll paste it onto a new one. So
Hey, Sean,
yeah.
questions if I can interrupt you. The
Yeah,
first is, can you show them where the feature finder is if they don't know where to find this particular tool is in Lucidpress? And the
yeah,
second question is, how do you upload fonts?
awesome questions. Yeah, so go ahead over to here to the feature finder. It's this little pair of binoculars in the corner, and it's really, really nice. You can just go and search, let's go locking. So if we want to lock something, um, it'll pop up exactly where it is. So it'll just show me it's under page and locking there. Again, we can go fonts. So font size, you can see that little blue arrow up there, change fonts. So it's pretty good at showing you exactly where those are that we'll want to change our fonts with. And then to uploading fonts, we'll want to go back over here, and then we'll go into some of our brand assets, and we can add these fonts in, and these will be brand fonts that will go into here. And then some other fonts that we'll want to upload, some custom fonts. We can do those in the manage fonts. And then you can go ahead and kind of like little light switches, turn them on and off, all the different fonts that we have. And then right down here is a little upload fonts thing that we can go ahead and grab if we have a specific font file that we want to bring in. So right here, you can go ahead and select this file, upload it in. If I X out of there, now it just told me it was uploaded appropriately. And we can go back in, and then I'll see that font within here. I don't know where it's saved exactly, but it'll be, there it is. Yep, right here, Inknut Antiquita. That's the one I just uploaded. So the uploaded fonts, these are the ones that you'll bring in on your own. And then again, Lucidpress has some other built-in fonts that don't always show, that we can kind of just flip the switch on whenever we need them. And then again, you can search here if you have a specific font that you're looking for. So yeah, it's a pretty friendly tool to bring in some new fonts and also find some of those other fonts within Lucidpress that you might not see instantly. So going back to the format painter, so we'll go ahead and grab the format here, bring it over there, and then just like that, it changed that. So one thing to note also though, is it brings over the size of the font as well. So I probably don't want to use that for this text down here, just because it'll make it size 84 font. But again, changing the font is a pretty simple thing to do, especially if we don't know some of the other characteristics on this, like bold, the font. Maybe we're having trouble finding it. So we can go ahead and again grab this, bring it over, and then I can just go over here and change the font back to what it was previously, if it'll let me go. And there it is. So that font's now been changed to this new font that we liked. Some other things we can do. So the white is not really appearing very well on this now lighter background that we have. If you remember originally, it was kind of a dark blue background. So the white font was really good for that. I'm thinking that we'll want to change this just so it appears a little bit better in our document. So to do that, we can go over here, make sure we're in the text again, which it'll usually bring you over there if you've got a text box highlighted. And then we can begin to kind of scan through the fonts. And if you look on the left-hand side of that page, it's kind of giving us a little preview of what it might look like. So we don't have to just keep clicking and kind of testing at random for different fonts. So this kind of peach color shows up pretty well. It's not super bright, which is nice. It's not neon or anything, so that looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and do the same for this over here. And just like that, we can go ahead and change the font. And then so we can go ahead and edit some of these text boxes. So go ahead and change this name to maybe Sean Anderson. Put my name in there. because I guess now I'm the author of this book. You can go ahead and maybe change some of these images. So we don't want the barcode over there. Maybe instead we'll go ahead and put in a new shape. And the really cool thing about shapes within Lucidpress is when you drop an image in, it'll format your image right to that shape. So you really only have to do it once. So if the shape doesn't auto-populate to a size you want, you just got to change it to whatever dimensions you would like to have, and then grab an image you like, and then bring that on over. Use a little drag and drop. And so it brought a photo of me just right into there, formatted it really well. As you can see, there's kind of a black border there. I don't know if I really like that. So we can go ahead and change that border right over here. This button right here with the little checkered box, that means transparent. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put it at that. Don't really want a border on that image right now. So we'll just go ahead and remove that border. Some other things that we can go over are adding pages here. So if you want to add a new page into your document, you just go over to this little plus button, and it'll drop you a new page within Lucidpress, which is really nice. You can begin to add other images and things into this. Another thing that you can do is, if there's a template that you like, maybe a different page in, we'll go ahead and just grab one from here that you want to bring into this other template that you have that you're working with. Yeah, this doesn't really fit our book, but we'll go ahead and bring it in anyways. What you can do is Control C, which will copy, or you can right click and hit copy, go to your other document, and then either Control V or just hit the paste button. It actually wants you to hit Control V, and then it'll bring that page right in to this new document that we're making over here. So it's a really good feature, especially if you have two documents, and then as you're working on them, you decide that maybe these would look really good in the same thing, or you have bits and pieces of a bunch of different documents that you kind of just want to merge together. You don't have to worry about having to recreate those all on the same document in itself. You can just kind of paste those in, which is really helpful. Going back to the image manager, one thing I didn't touch on that's really, really helpful are these other searchable image options that we have. So we've got, right now I have enabled Bing search and then also Unsplash. In order to enable these on your account, you'll want to go over to the home screen and then go to the image manager down here. And then if you scroll down a little, there'll be a little button down here that says Add Integrations. You'll want to open that up, and there'll be a list of integrations that we can bring in to our Lucidpress account that'll really help managing images and make it a lot easier. So going into Upsplash, I really like Upsplash. It's really awesome. It's got thousands and thousands of images available for you to just grab and kind of plug and place into your document. The great thing about Upsplash versus just going onto Google and Googling it on there and then going to images and just grabbing some of those random ones is all of these images are high quality images, meaning that when you put them into your document, they're ready to print right from there. So you don't have to worry about, putting an image in and then you print out 100 copies and then you take a look and one of the images is all blurry and it kind of just ruins your whole brochure, and you just spent all that time and money printing those things out. This way you don't have to worry about that. Another thing is they're not copyrighted, so you don't have to worry about any sort of like trademark infringement on images. So what we can do here is just search. I guess we'll just search summer. Yeah, and so pops up a bunch of images kind of with some summer themes to them. Again, we can just drag and drop. I'll place them in this new page that I brought over. And they will kind of fit the text box that are already there within Lucidpress. And some of these images, that little gray box that was just there, that's just the images downloading. Because they are higher quality images, they take slightly bit more time to get downloaded into Lucidpress, but nothing crazy. So yeah,
Hey,
so
Sean,
now, yeah,
can you show us how to delete a page that we don't want added? So we've added an extra page and we want to remove it.
yeah, great question. So I kind of did make a bunch of pages on here that we don't really need. What we can do is do them one at a time. That's one option where you right click and go to delete page. Another thing you can do is on your keyboard, you can hit the delete button in the upper right corner or the backspace button. Those will both do what we need. Another thing you can do is if you click on one of the pages and then hold shift and go down, it'll highlight all of them. So you can see I've got that little blue box around all of my pages that I want to have deleted. From there, I can either again use delete or backspace, or I can go ahead and just go delete. Another thing we can do, so say I really like the format of this, this second page we have here. You know, I really like how it's got all these different size boxes here for me to put images in. I don't really want to have to go through the process of making a new document, sizing the document, making sure these text boxes are exactly the same size as what I have in the second page. What I can do is, again, right click and just go ahead and duplicate the page. And then from there, I can go back into my image manager, go back to Upsplash, save my search result, which is really nice. And then again, just get back to kind of plugging in those images that I want to have seen on here. Another cool thing that we've got to work with here are down in the left-hand corner, you've got this little ellipses, the three little dots that kind of pops out some other things that we can use within our documents. So these are a list of buttons that we can place into Lucidpress. Right now, in their current state, they don't have anything more than just the details and the aesthetic of, say, Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, whatever it might be. They're just buttons to make your document look better. But what you can do is you can link to these buttons and then create different links to maybe Facebook or Pinterest or your Instagram account. And so if you're doing an online document, you can go ahead and link your account to there, and then make it kind of a usable button for your users to interface with and go directly to your Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, whatever it might be. Some other cool things we have here are we've got some video options. So we've got YouTube and Vimeo that we can add into our documents. So again, we just drag and drop that in. Right now, it defaults to just the Lucidpress intro video. But if you look over here on the right side, we've got a place where we can copy and paste new URLs into this spot. So if you make a video about yourself, like cooking some food or something, and you want to add it into your Lucidpress document, you can go ahead and just copy and paste that URL from YouTube right into there. And then your users, when they see your online document, they'll be able to go ahead and just watch your video right there within your document. So this isn't going to work, obviously, if you're planning on doing printed documents. Putting the video in there isn't gonna make the video work. So again, this feature is just really more for digital online content that you're sharing with users, maybe on a website or on your Facebook, other things like that.
Sean, can you also show us how to take a button or an icon and create a link with that?
Yeah, for sure. So here's some buttons that I have placed over here. Let's see. Go over here, link. And then we can link a URL, link an email, page, or publication. For most people with these buttons, we're going to be wanting to use a URL. So you can go ahead and just drop a URL of your Pinterest account or Instagram account right into there. And it'll make this kind of a functioning live button, which is really cool. If you're posting this on your website and you want to make sure that all of your content is on there, if you have multiple content sources, so that, you know, maybe you post one thing to Instagram, but you forgot to post it to Facebook. You want to make sure your users can see all of your content as easy as possible. All right, so from there, now that we've got kind of a nice looking summer document, some cool activities on there, we might want to share it out to some other people to collaborate with. So the way we'll be doing that is up here in the right-hand corner, we've got a share button. If you use the drop-down arrow, it's got a few of the more advanced share options that we'll actually be going over in our webinar part 3 next month. For this webinar, we're going to go over collaborating with others. So as you can see, I hit the little drop down, hit collaborate with others, and this popped up. Another way you can get the same result is just by clicking the share button, the big share button with the arrow. And from here, you can go ahead and plug some people's names in. So Melanie, she's a part of our team. If I wanted her to come and look at how awesome and cool my document is, which I think she'll agree with, it's pretty great. We can go ahead and share that with her. If I want her to be able to also edit and share, can change her permission to that. So, but if I just want her to see how awesome it is, we can set it just a view, and then she can just take a look at it. This is really nice if you are just kind of want to get maybe an approval from someone else and say, yeah, everything looks good, like your fonts are all in order, there's no spelling mistakes, things like that. That's a really good way for that. Also comment permissions, so that when you share this, they can actually go down here where we've got some sharing or some comment options. They can go ahead and leave some comments in here. And then they could maybe write and say, hey, Sean, second image, kind of a weird color. Maybe you should go ahead and change that color for us to maybe one that's a little bit more applicable to the other images. So what's really cool here is you can also tag people. So if I tag Melanie in this, she will get an email, and it'll go directly to her inbox where she can go ahead and click on that, and it'll take her directly to here. And then when she's in here, she'll be able to go right to that comment and go ahead and see what I was talking about within here. Another cool thing to get a little bit more granular on it is you can go ahead and right click when you're highlighting the box, the image, and you know you're doing that with the little blue outline. Right click, go down, and you can actually add a note. And so if there's multiple people working in here, I can say, like, what do you think of this image? Go ahead and leave a note like that. And then it'll stay here, stay working until it's basically deleted. And you can go ahead and go back and see that note through this little box in the right-hand corner. If I want to go ahead and delete that, it's basically the same steps. You'll right click, and instead of saying add note, it'll say delete note. You can go ahead and delete that, and it'll all go away. And then one thing to note again, going back down here, so we've got comments and we've got chat. So comments, those will stay throughout the life of the document unless they're resolved or deleted. Whereas, and I'll show you resolving right here. It's this little button in the upper right. Go ahead and resolve it. And then it kind of grays out and disappears. And now it's no longer available to see. You can go back though and see those resolved comments, see which ones I made. So they're not really lost. They're just kind of taken out of view of everyone else. But what I wanted to make note of here is the chat function. So if you're using this chat function with some of the other users in the document, the chat is going to basically wipe out whenever the document is closed out. So if I leave notes to Patrick saying, hey, can you add this image? Can you add a new page? Things like that. It will send the message, but as soon as I close out of here, it's just not close out of this chat box, but close out of the document, these will all get removed. So it's not really a good store of information if you want to just keep a record of everything that you've chatted about. It's not really good for that. It's more of just that live communication to talk with the rest of your team. Another really nice way of sharing your documents is going to be this download feature right here. This is also going to be how you can print your material from your own computer and printer. We've got a few different options here: PDFs, PNGs, JPEGs, and then PNGs with a transparent background. So the PNGs and JPEGs, they're more for just image-based printing. PNGs are going to get you the best quality image when you print out. But PDFs are really good for printing large documents and flyers and things like that. Generally, I'd say that that's probably the biggest use case for people on here will be the PDFs. You go through and select a page range. So maybe I just want to do a test and just see what the first page looks like. Go ahead and do that. As you can see, it kind of locks just that one page on the left-hand side. It doesn't have all of them listed. It'll pop up just to that one page. Most of the time when you're printing, you're going to want to do 300 DPI for print. And then go down here and then also select print-friendly PDF so that it's just the best quality that it can be. But if you're not worried about those things, if you're not going to be printing, if you're not going to be doing any of that, standard PDF is fine. Then also Retina and Screen are good. And changing these can be important if it's a large document that you know you're not going to print. It'll really save on the file size. So then it'll also change on kind of downloading times, time it might take to send the email, things like that. So if you know that you're not going to be printing it, using some of these options can be really helpful. We can go over here. So I'm just going to go 272 DPI, just the screen, standard PDF. Go ahead and hit download over there. And then in the left-hand corner, you can see it's generating my file. It already finished downloading. So go ahead and pull that up. And then there's my document right there. As you can see, I've got a blurry image here. That's because I didn't follow my own rule and I grabbed this image from Google. So this is something that might happen if you just grab images from Google right there. Whereas if you look in my document, now this one's blurry too, but it was a little bit clearer before. So it can kind of be deceiving if your image looks clear on here, but then once you go to download, it's really granular and kind of almost useless. You don't really want to be sharing this at all. So just another good thing to highlight right there. So the very last thing that I want to go over for sharing is going to be ordering prints. So actually, I'm going to go ahead and delete these pages because I think we'll get a better result this way. What we can do is go over to order prints. And so it's not, right now, these images are grayed out. What that means is that my current document size doesn't fit a print option that we have loaded into our printer. And everyone comes default with our printer, Alexander's. They're also based here in Utah. And unless your team maybe made a different change with the printer through a print integration, this will be what everyone has. And so if this were to be the right size, which I actually can go ahead and just kind of do a quick change. So we'll just change this to 8.5 by 11. You can go in here. And now I've got a few options to print from if I wanted to print this. Obviously, I don't really want to do that because my document's kind of funky looking. The template wasn't made for this. I'd have to do a little bit of rearranging to get this printed out and looking the way I wanted to on an 8.5 by 11. But this is basically what we would do. You'd go ahead and select your option and then go through the whole print process down here. It's just payment information, shipping information, things like that. Those kind of questions they'll ask you. So that's the end of this presentation that I had planned for you. Patrick, do we have any other questions or concerns that we have in the chat that we could address right now?
Yeah, Sean, I've got a request if you can demonstrate one more time how to add an icon and then create a link with it in the document.
Yeah, for sure. So let's go and redo that. Oh, so I guess I'll touch on that as well. Right up here in the left-hand corner, we've got our undo and then redo buttons. So I just undid my change from 8.5 by 11 to my 13 by 9. For some reason, I wanted to go back and do that. And then I can go the other way as well. And this will save basically for the life of your login. So I could hit this 100 times or whatever it might be, and it'll go back to the original template that we saw with that blue background and that different font and things there. So going back to that question we just had, dropping the icons in. So it's going to be this 3 little dot, the ellipses down here. And these, they work just like images where you can kind of drag and drop them in. Bring those in up here. And then another thing to note is if you guys can see those little blue dotted lines and then those numbers, those are little trackers to make sure that, you know, we're all lined up. They're all the same size. So those 3 little dots are telling me, okay, if I keep expanding it out here, I'm on the right track. But if I go down here, it's not aligned anymore. So I got to bring it back up, get it aligned. And those will carry over here. So it's not lined up yet, but then I can go ahead and stops me right there. So now they're the same size. And then we can do that again. So, but to get back to the linking, again, we just grab them down with the ellipses, drag them over, and then we can go over here. And it's gonna, when you're highlighted on the button, you'll hit this little link drop down. It'll give you the option to just paste a URL right in there. So you can drop your, I think this is Tumblr, maybe. I'm not 100% sure. I know this one's Twitter, so we can go ahead and drop your Twitter link right in there and go ahead and make that a live working button. Hope that answers that question.
Yeah, absolutely. Sean, one more question that was asked is, can you demonstrate how paint format works again? And is it the same as copying?
Yeah, so they're not the same as copy. So copy would be, I take this and drop it right there, and it brings over kind of the exact image, the exact everything, wording, structure, everything like that. What the paint function will do is just bring over the formatting of it, not the actual words and letters that are in there. So I can go ahead and I've got my name up here. Clearly it's a different format than we've got this one right here. So it's in white font. It's a little bit smaller. I don't even think it's the exact same font. Yeah, it's not. So this is Open Sans. This is Graphic Bold. What we can do is go grab that. And you also know that I grabbed it correctly because this one's blue, and then drop it on there. And so still says Endless Summer, but as you can see, it grabbed everything the same other than the wording about my name right here. Hope that answered that question. Any other questions in the chat that we can get to right now?
No, Sean, I think that's just about it.
All right, awesome. Well, really appreciate everyone coming to our webinar. I hope you all got something out of this, learned something that maybe you can take away and begin to apply to your own documents. Again, if there are any other questions, feel free to always reach out to our support channel, or if you have maybe a customer success manager assigned to your account, reach out to them. And hopefully we can just keep on facilitating some of this learning and your growth within Lucidpress. So really excited to see where you guys are able to take this. All right.
Thanks, everybody. Take care.